Hey, welcome. All right, so we are going to start this week's teacher chat. But this week and next week and possibly the week after that, we're going to switch it to little mini webinars. So usually teacher chats are Karen and I, because we're also high school teachers, as well as co-founders of Insert Learning. We'll kind of talk about what we're doing in the classroom. We'll talk with other teachers about how they're using Insert Learning. But because we have so many new users, we decided we're just going to do a couple of little mini webinars on how to get going with Insert Learning. You can always look at all of our old webinars on our YouTube channel as well. So if you have any questions, I'm going to share my screen so you can see how this works. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat system over here on YouTube Live. If you got something that you want to show off, put a message in there, and then I'll send you an invite for the Google Hangouts that we're doing. And then you can also, I think for this one though, because we're going to go through this as like a teacher and student, you can actually a student in class. And so we're going to set that up first. Really introduce myself either. I'm Matt. I'm one of the co-founders of Insert Learning. We started about 3 years ago when I was just sort of like, it'd be great if I could just edit the internet for my students. And we just got the chance to be able to start it up about 3 years ago. So, all right. First is I'm going to create a class for this activity. So I'm going to head over to my Insert Learning dashboard first. So I open a new tab and click on the Insert Learning extension. That's the fastest way to get to your teacher dashboard. Another way is to just simply go to insertlearning.com and then click on sign in. Place. So now that I'm on here, I'm going to create a class for our example lesson. So I'm going to click on classes and I'll click on plus. And for this class name, I'm going to new user webinar class. If you use Google Classroom, you can import your student roster directly from Classroom, but you absolutely don't have to use Classroom for any of the features of Insert Learning. It's just a really handy thing if you're using Chromebooks. So I'm going to create that. So here's how this works. This is my new class right here. So new user webinar. And I can invite other teachers to be a co-teacher in my class if I want to. I can also view the students that I have in my lessons. And the way this works is that students enroll themselves by entering that class code. You can click on this little binoculars, so then pops up full screen. So to follow along with me as a student, what you'll do is copy that code. And then I'm going to use another Google account. So you can't be a student in your own classes, but you can with a different account. So this is a different Google account that I've got. And I've signed in with Insert Learning. And this one right now is set up as a teacher. So I'm going to click on my profile icon and select student. And now I'm just switching over to be a student account. So I'm going to select that. And now to enroll in my class, what I'll do is I click on classes, click on the plus, and then just enter in that code. And now I'm enrolled in the class. I don't know how I got enrolled twice. I don't know. Right, so now I'm enrolled in the class. So now anything that gets assigned to that class is automatically going to show up in here. So let's head back over here and we're going to create a lesson. So the lesson challenge for this week or for the next couple of weeks is going to be the big game. So basically it's about how the Super Bowl is coming up and there's a lot of things, a lot of STEM and social justice and controversy and health and injuries and all these different kind of things all have a part in professional football. So I thought that'd be kind of an interesting topic for this month. And so let's go and make a lesson. Let's see, what would be a good source? Now, if you ever get stuck, you're not quite sure where to find content, what you can always do is click on resources and, resources, and then click on find content. We've got some search engine here. So I'm going to actually just try searching Super Bowl. So we got a couple of heroes. We got Washington Post. All right, look at this. I like Wonderopolis. And then we got a couple from last time. So let's go with this Wonderopolis one. So I'm going to click on that. What's great when you use the search engine, it automatically loads Insert Learning for you. So typically what you do is you go to a website and then just click the Insert Learning Chrome extension, or also for Firefox. There. All right. So now that I'm on here, I'm going to add in I've got my teacher toolbar on the left-hand side. And this is what lets you now interact with the page. What's so cool is that Insert Learning works on the original page. It doesn't copy any of the content. Like, students still go to the original one. So it's a, I think, really important thing that students just get used to, of like browsing and finding and learning on the internet. So I like to add in a sticky note at the beginning. So I click on the sticky note, and sticky notes are great for instructions. So I'm going to type in instructions. And so here I can put in my instructions of what I want them to do. We have in the Help Center these lesson templates. And the lesson templates are great because we've got some text-dependent questions and annotation instructions for students. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to just simply highlight that text, and closing that, I'm going to paste it right there. So now my students have these preset instructions, and you can edit this and change it to however you want. And you can also add in a YouTube video showing them what to do. So I'm going to click on that. And now what I'll do is I'm going to copy the URL of that video, and heading back over here, I'm just going to paste the URL into the sticky note, and boom. Now the students can actually watch this video right there. So our other co-founder, Karen, made this video to teach her students how she wanted them to highlight the articles. So you can create your own videos too if you have different instructions or how you want them to go through it, or just use our pre-made example one for students. So what's great about this, now we've got this, and I'm going to ask a question up here at the beginning. I'm going to add a discussion before we get too far into the article of, I don't know, like, do a lot of my students watch the Super Bowl? Like, let's just kind of get a little discussion going. So I'm clicked on the discussion tool, click on the title, and did you watch the Super Bowl? Why or why not? All right. So with the class discussion, this means that it's now all students in your class can view the responses. But what's really neat is that only students in your classes can view them, and they can only view responses in your class. So if you have multiple classes that you've assigned this to, students can't see everyone else's responses. And of course, everybody, like people on the internet, can't see what you're creating because it's private to just your class. So before we keep going, I'm going to assign this out to that class that we created. So new user summit. So I'm going to select that. And I'm going to switch over here now to my student dashboard. And so now that I've assigned it, there it is right there. So now I can see this is the lesson that I've got. I'm going to click on that. And this is going to be really cool. I'm going to reload this one too. You have to the first time you create the lesson, you have to load it again before it starts to live update with students. Jump over here if anybody has any questions. If you got questions, go ahead and add in anything. Ask them in the live chat on YouTube Live. If you want to show off something you got on your screen or like something like that, let me know too, and I'll invite you to the Hangout. But all right, so we're over here in Wonderopolis, and again, if you missed the class code for my lesson, it is, I'm actually just going to put that right there. So I'm going to copy this code. So you can enroll yourself into my class. All right, there you go. So there's the class code. And you can switch between teacher and student by just going to your dashboard and clicking on your profile, and then between teacher and student right there. All right, so I'm going to go back over. Now this is my student view, and this is cool. So now as a student, I have my own toolbar. So I can highlight things, I can add in sticky notes, I can watch the video my teachers added in, and now I can start to do discussions. So now I'm going to post this to my class. Switching back over here. There it is. So the other Matt Nupin has already posted a response. And this is pretty fun because now it's actually going to sync up in real time on both. So I'm going to, there we go. And let's see, I'm going to move this one over to the side. And then I'm going to post my response. Hey, Libby. Thanks for adding in. I agree. Like the commercials is kind of like what I sort of just like join in. I think that's what a lot of people do. That and then like the halftime show. I don't know if Lady Gaga is gonna have the whole drone thing. I don't know who's performing at the Super Bowl. Which is exciting because it's in Minnesota where we live, where I live. So it'll be kind of, so I'm excited. Okay, all right. This is the first time I've done a demo of where people on the internet have just simply joined my class. I like this. It's fun. All right. So as they're going through, Now what students can do is I can start to ask them different questions, and then, but also since I gave my students instructions on what I want them to highlight, now they can highlight stuff. So one of the neat things about Wonderopolis is that they've got built-in text-to-speech, so students can listen to that as they're going along. And they've also defined some words on here, which is really cool, because that's typically what I'll do with Insert Learning is I'll define some of the words, but Wonderopolis has got some of that for us already. But as a student, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to highlight now on here. So millions of Americans, and I'm just going to add in, so I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to add in a little note, and how many... a little comment. And I don't know if you caught that, but over here on the left-hand side, because on the left side, this is my teacher one, you can click, this popped up once I started to highlight. And what you can do now is you can select your students' names once they've started to highlight and see what they're highlighting in real time. So let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and NFL teams can, oh, I don't want to highlight all of it. I'm going to delete that. All right, so NFL teams compete. There we go. And all right, and then for this one, I'm just going to change the color on that one. All right, and so you can kind of see now it's syncing up in real time. And the way this works is that right now, we've got set up so that your highlights show up a little bit brighter than the other person's highlights. So as a teacher, when you look at it, you see your students' highlights in the colors, but they're a little bit muted compared to the other one. Eventually, we're going to add it in so you can easily see multiple highlights in the same spot and a little bit more clear as to who's adding in those highlights and stuff. That'll be in a future update. So as I'm going along, now I'm going to start adding in things, but we're going to add in a question now. And the question, I mean, this is actually like what started Insert Learning, was this idea of wanting to be able to add questions. Because as a teacher, I was using annotation tools like Diigo, and I was like, man, if I could ask a question in the text, my life is done. Like, not done. My life is great. It's grand because now I can see everything that I can ask students questions right there. So I'm going to take one of our text-dependent questions in our Help Center. So I'm click on the Help Support button, click on Lesson Templates, and Text-Dependent Questions. So these are really generic text-dependent questions that are going to work for almost any text. I like to call them ungoogleable questions because, I mean, let's be honest, like Googling questions, it's really easy to find answers. And so I'm just going to ask this one of identify the main idea of the above section I'm going to do. So I'm going to copy that. And over here in the question, I'm going to paste that. And I want of the above section because there's multiple paragraphs. You can change the number of points. So this maybe is going to be 8 points and create. You notice it automatically updated right there. So that was really cool. Go over here on the right hand side as a student. Let's say I'm going to put in that. This little thing starts to spin down here whenever you start typing something. So student responses, auto save, and it's going to tell them when it's saved. And over here on the teacher's side, what you can do is you can see your students' responses pop up in real time. So what's really cool is I can actually now see like, hey, two of you that are watching this right now have already signed up for my class, and I can see all my students. So it gives you a blank response right there. Hey, all right, thanks, Libby. It's showing up right there. And then your student responses, and then you can put in a score as well as they're going along, and you can just press tab or the down arrow. So it makes it very quick and easy to be able to add in scores as you're going along. And let's see. With the free response questions, you can also put in, or the questions, you can also make them multiple choice questions. And that's one of my favorite ones because really this is about like scaffolding. For me, it's really about scaffolding the text. You're breaking it up, you're chunking it. I've had students of where, because I literally do teach. Also, I'm the STEM coordinator and I do a lot of engineering classes at a charter school. And so it's fun of when my students they start doing this, where they like start scrolling through the article, like just waiting for things to like pop out at them. And one time, the student next to the other one that was like scrolling, she hit him in the shoulder and she's like, "You idiot, you only have to read that paragraph and then it gives you the answer." And I love that because it's sort of like, right, to the students, it seems like this very simple thing, like, awesome, like this assignment's gonna be even easier. But for me as a teacher, it's great because that means that they literally now are going to read this article and answer the questions like I wanted them to do and think about it. And they think that's easier than just cheating. So students like discover it's easier just to do the assignment, which, I mean, right, it's a win-win. So Going back down here to this one. What does NFL stand for? We're just going to do that one. That's a Googleable one, but that's right. National, no, Nerf Foundation League. All right, so I'm put those in. Now, if you missed the way that I just did that, I just clicked in the question box and I started typing and I just hit enter. So I'm gonna hit enter again, and now I've got another option. And that one. All right, so now I'm going to select the correct answer. So now this has instantly become a multiple choice question. So over here on the student side, I've got this. Now, if I select the incorrect one, what it's going to do is this is 10 possible points. So as a student, it shows me I got 10 points. I got 3 options. So if I click the wrong one, it's like, oh, I got the wrong answer. Now, at most, I can get is 5 points. And I keep going until I get the right answer. And so I'm click on football. And ding, 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 I got it. So now it tells me I got 5 out of 10. And this is one of the things I really love because as a science teacher, misconceptions is such a huge thing. And so knowing what students don't understand or what they don't understand is going to be just as valuable or more valuable than what they do understand. And so if I view responses, it's now going to show me, and of course, well, yeah, you guys got to see my answer. It shows you the order that they guessed incorrectly. So if half my class puts in soccer as the first response, that tells me a lot. Like, okay, cool, we're going to do a review on that. And because this can happen in real time in your class, if you're doing a blended model in your classroom, if it's like really important, you could like pause the class and be like, hey, all right, we're going to like, a real quick thing here. I want to make sure everybody understands this. And then they kind of keep going. So it's a really neat way to be able to kind of like get an idea on what your class is doing, get the pulse of the classroom before you guys keep going. All right. So we're going to go through a couple more things. So with the sticky note, what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to add in a little video. So we're going to summarize this lesson. And I'm just again here. What I did was I added in a sticky note, and I'm going to click on the video recording tool. Because with this sticky notes, these are like the everything tool. You can embed anything with the embed code. So Flipgrids and Quizlets, Thing Links, Edpuzzle, which are like these interactive videos. But I can also record my own videos directly if I want to. So I'm going to add this in. All right, class, we are at the very end. What I want you to do now is read through your notes, and I want you to summarize everything that you kind of read and you learned about in this article, and I want you to summarize it into a 1-paragraph summary and then also a hashtag that you feel would best represent this article. All right, class, we are at the very end. So I'm going to click on Use Video, and now what it's going to do is it's going to save it and embed it automatically in there. That idea for a hashtag for a question actually came from a teacher that I found in the lesson library. All right, but while that's loading, I'm going to put the question down here. Paragraph, and then as a discussion, I'm going to do the hashtag. So now I've got a discussion and a question, and then for the students going over here, they can now watch that video that you've created and answer the questions right there. Students can also, with the sticky note, they can add in their own notes too, and they can record videos right there. Some of the ways that teachers have been using it, and Special Ed does some really cool things with this, of where what they'll do is they'll ask questions, but instead of students typing out the answers, they'll ask students to then record a video of them making a response, so little video responses, or little video reactions, so they can kind of stay in this reading mode instead of switching between reading and writing, which can be really difficult for some students. I've used the video recording option to read the article out loud for some of my students, or if it's a really high-level article, I know they're going to really struggle with understanding it, I just read it out loud. And even though it's going to take me like 10 minutes, that is 10 minutes of like work ahead of time that is going to make a huge, it's like night and day for my students in the classroom, because the students that would not have been successful are now successful and independent on that lesson. All right, so we are all done. I've already assigned this one, but what you normally do is you just click on assign and select your class. You can assign this to multiple classes if you want to. So I can select it then. So I can assign this now to like to that one in my test class. If you use Google Classroom, you can share directly out to Google Classroom. If you don't use Classroom, how this works is up at the top, you'll just copy that URL. There's a couple different ways actually. You just copy that URL and then paste that into your LMS. Because anything with hashtag insert learning at the end, everybody can it'll automatically load the extension. Now, very important things. Students must have the insert learning browser extension installed, and they must be enrolled in your class that this has been assigned to view the lesson. So if they don't have that, you'll have to do that. The first time when students sign up, if they just go to insertlearning.com and sign up as a student, like if they just click on this add to Chrome, it's going to walk them through the process and prompt them to install the extension and ask them for a class code if they sign up as a student. So that kind of takes care of the whole process. And students also have their own dashboard. So if you don't use an LMS, another option is just simply to have students go to their insert learning dashboard, and under lessons, then they'll see that. And this mark is done button is just simply for the students at this point. In the future, we might do something with it. But what students can do is when they're done, they can just click mark is done. But as a teacher, all the responses have auto-saved. Students can head over to the grades section. They can see what grades they've received also. So they select the class and then the question, and it's going to show up right there. And then the same thing over on the, let's see, for the teacher dashboard, if you want to, you can check out all the responses right there too. So you can then filter by question or by student. So that was acting buggy there. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. All right, well, that's basically it for my demo. We wanted to keep this very short and sweet. Let's see. Oh, and I got some questions here, so this is awesome. Justin Bieber, excellent, thank you. So when I was saying that students can get partial credit, they say is automatically set up. So yeah, so if you do multiple choice, it'll automatically set it up as like partial credit based on how many tries they went till they got the right one. As a teacher, you can always go back and override it if you want to. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you can go back, you can change that. And then it also collects when the students responded to a question as well. So it gives a little timestamp. So you can see that of when they've gone through. For grades, I'll show you this last thing, and then we are already over time. We're gonna have another one next week too, and I think we're gonna focus a little bit more on some reading skills. And I think we'll have another one of like middle school and elementary levels. But over in grades, I'll reload this here. You can then download all the grades as a CSV file. So that's it. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. This has been a lot of fun, and we will have another teacher chat, video chat next week at Tuesday at the same time. And my kids are home, so I'm headed out. Have a great evening, everybody.